Hey there, Aries Ascendant. This is a forecast taking you from Monday the 17th right the way through to Sunday the 23rd of November 2025. Now, I'm using a whole sign Western tropical model, just in case you're interested, but this is aimed at your Ascendant, and I want to piece together some of the biggest things that are happening in this week ahead, and there's quite a few. Last week was pretty sleepy. There were no real big aspects, exact aspects between planets, apart from Mercury retrograde in a conjunction with Mars, which I really spent quite a bit of time unpacking in that forecast. But in this week ahead, there's loads of really big aspects and a new moon and a Mercury Cazimi happening on the same day. And get this, we've also got our second in a series of Uranus Neptune sextiles. Now these come across like we have these not all the time at all. It's really, really rare. And, so the last time we had sextiles was back in 1966 to 1968. So, 60 years ago, give or take. So it's a pretty big thing that's going on right now. And yeah, I think this is going to be one of the most revealing weeks of the year, where you get this feeling that you're ready to take on more, you're ready for more. And I also think it's a time when your future is starting to speak to you. It really feels that there's a lot moving you into the future. We're coming out of the Scorpio period and coming headlong into the Sagittarius period. And of course, that's about vision, it's about faith, it's about future and directions. So let's get cracking. If you're new to this channel, by the way, my name's Louisa Tanner Munson. Welcome to Feel Good Astrology. I hope you enjoy it. Now, I'm going to start this as I start all of my forecasts, and that is with a big shout out, just to say a quick thank you to everybody that supports my channel historically and also regularly through donations and through my membership. I really, really adore you. Thank you so much. And here's our charts. So, this is the first chart. This is literally just before we go into Monday. This is the position for Sunday. And you can see we've got the moon here in the sign of Libra. And as we go through this week, the moon is going to end up in the sign of Capricorn. So we're going from Libra to Capricorn. And you'll see there's a little bit of movement going on here. Whoops, if I don't go too far. The sun is currently at the start in the sign of Scorpio. Mercury's retrograde still in the sign of Sagittarius. By the end of this week, they will both have swapped positions. And you'll notice that I've got this very big red dot highlighting this area. This is where we're going to have the new moon. So it's a new moon in Scorpio at 28 degrees Scorpio. On the very same day, we've got a Mercury Cazimi. So Mercury retrograde is also going to be in a conjunction with the new moon. That's the moon and the sun. So you've got all three of them together at the same time, which is unusual and it's powerful. And they're all in opposition to Uranus, almost exactly in opposition. So it's a hugely change-worthy day. This is about us rewriting our own stories. Mercury is currently at the start of this week in the sign of Sagittarius going retrograde. And he's about to retrograde back into Scorpio on the 19th, just a day before he comes into this conjunction with the sun and the moon. Now, Mercury in the sign of Sagittarius, he's not happy in the sign of Sagittarius, but he's learning to tell himself a new story. He's talking about context. And here, in the ninth house, also with Mars in the ninth house, there's this ongoing story of adventure and freedom and liberty for you that's going on. And yet, before you can go further with it, as Mercury's going into Scorpio, and you'll find this out by the end of the week, Mercury's going to be here in this eighth house. This takes us back to some of our resistances, or some of your resistances, I should say, and difficulties growing up that have created this need to be free. And so I think, as this week goes on, in particular around the 19th and 20th, you're going to start to realize some of the costs of things that have happened in the past that have really necessitated your need for freedom. We've also got lots of different and powerful aspects going on during this time as well. So we've got the sun at the start and at the end of this week. It is in an exact trine with Jupiter and also with Saturn. We've also got Mercury making these trines to Saturn and Jupiter. So this is a very, very strong time with both of them making those aspects. Venus is coming into this time as well. I think her aspects are going to be exact as of next week. But, with these three planets, the Sun, Mercury retrograde, and Venus all connecting to Jupiter and also Saturn and also Neptune, it's as if we are creating something that we've been perceiving for a long time. Neptune is very much about the imagination and the intuition. And it's also about the unseen world. And it's at this very unseen part in your chart, actually, right at the tail end of the 12th house. And, with these trines going on to our personal planets, to how you feel and relate to people, to how you think and how you're rewriting your story, and to your sense of self-expression. These trines are really allowing you to process some of this imagination via Saturn and Jupiter. You'll see Saturn and Jupiter and Neptune and Jupiter are all connected as well. Now, that's not all. We've also got Uranus involved in this as well. And Uranus is all about innovation and change and liberation that comes from really seeing things. I really think that Uranus in opposition to the Sun, in opposition to Mercury retrograde, in opposition to Venus, is really helping us to break any spell that we've got. With Venus and Mercury in the sign of Scorpio, and you also see, the Sun was, and it will leave, it will go into the sign of Sagittarius, but with this strong kind of personal magnetism going on, in the sign of Scorpio, which is a sign of secrets, a sign of hidden depths, hidden fears, forgotten desires, deep emotions. This is where we might have some distortions going on, especially in this 8th house for you. As these all go into opposition with Uranus, there is a spell that's being broken. All those thoughts that you've had about yourself are just, it's like you're shedding the distortion. And what's more, you're coming into a greater level of self-trust. So there's a lot of encouragement then to kind of really shed the skin. And someone was reminding me that we're in the Chinese year of the snake. The idea that our snake skins have got a bit too tight and it's time to really shed. I really get that these personal planets in your 8th house, opposite Uranus in Taurus in the 2nd house, which is where you're valuing yourself. I really think you're about to shed anywhere where you've not valued yourself because of other people's opinions, other people's expectations, other people's maybe guilt, shame, blame, and anger that they're putting onto you and your shoulders. You're about to shake it all off, which is great. And at the same time on Thursday the 20th, there's also Uranus going into an exact sextile with Neptune. Now, I'm going to be talking about this separately next week, but this is a really unusual and, it's an uncommon, it's really a rare formation. But, Neptune is, I think, very much about the vision, a spiritual vision, ideals. It's also about something that allows us to kind of dissolve our identity and to kind of merge with the collective. So there's something about a collective vision, and also Uranus, which is about innovation and also revelation. And so there's definitely some new reveals coming up in consciousness. But the fact that they are exactly in this sextile at the time when you're shedding your skin, when you're letting go of a lot of things that you've held on to on behalf of other people that just not even relevant to you anymore. To me, this is indicating that it's like you're coming out of your past and you're getting ready for your future. You're getting ready for more. And then, on the 22nd, the Sun is going into Sagittarius. It's going to be in your 9th house. It's a really exciting place for you. It's a time when you feel like you want to broadcast, you want to share your good news, whatever's going on. You want to go on an adventure. You want to learn. It's like you want to really dive into life. And Mars is already there and he's been whetting your appetite. Most likely you've been committing to lots of things that are slightly out of your comfort zone that feel really exciting. So you are coming into a time of real excitement. So yeah, I think, the emotional honesty that's coming up is going to give way to a sense of a new unfiltered you that is absolutely in a place of excitement. So I think this is great. Final thoughts then. I just want to quickly talk about the three movements of the moon. So, on the 17th, you got the moon going into Scorpio. This is going to be one of the most sort of intense moments between the 17th and early on the 20th, when you're coming into this new moon. I would say between the 17th and the 20th, it's time to really relax and go as quiet as you can, like quiet as a mouse, and really, really listen to your intuitive mind, because it's going to give you so many clues. It really is going to give you a sense of, what's coming up to be shared. It's a very personal experience that you're going through at this time. And then once we've had the new moon, on the 20th, we've got the moon going into Sagittarius. It's going to be in there sort of animating things a lot, bringing a sense of emotional freedom, and a sense of emotional excitement. So, on the 22nd, you've also got the sun coming in. So you'll have the moon, the sun, and Mars in the sign of Sagittarius together. The excitement for life is going to be really building, and you're going to want to get out there again and start to feel super, like almost high, which I think is going to be great. And then on the 22nd, it is on the 22nd, isn't it? No, later on the 22nd, the moon is going into Capricorn, right at the top of your chart. And then your attention is going to get a little less wild and a little more tailored. You'll be a lot more focused on your career or whatever it is that you are doing that catches your attention for so long. However, it's going to be quite helpful. Those final aspects that are going on, we've got the sun in a sextile to Pluto coming in right at the end, and that's going to give you a sense of power and building blocks. So whilst the moon is in your 10th house, turning your attentions to your very focus, your mission, your legacy, whatever it is that you're working on, there's also these aspects of deep power as well. So a very, very powerful week. I hope you find it helpful. And if you would like to dive deeper into your own chart or get prepared for 2026, then just look at the link below. I've got links to all of the readings that I'm doing at the moment, and maybe we can get a refocus together. Anyway, have a fabulous week ahead, and catch up with you next time. Bye for now.